So welcome to the Coaching Summit of 2022. We are over halfway. We've had a fantastic first day yesterday and a number of great sessions this afternoon as well, which has just been amazing. Let me come off this slide so I can see all of your faces. So as I said just now, we're in for a treat. We are here for a live coaching demonstration with Rosie and Anna. So Anna is founder of Steps into Strides. She is a career and leadership coach joining us today. And she's teamed up with Rosie Farah, who supports teams and people to live and work happier. They're both two wonderful coaches in our Coaching Crowd Business Lounge who are collaborating today to bring this session to you. So do pop yourselves on mute if you're not already, and I will just spotlight these ladies so we can focus on them as they bring us this absolute treat today. So ladies, over to you.
You go, Rosie.
Yeah,
you start us off.
So nice to see you all, and thanks already for making me feel more comfortable with the messages in the chat. So I'm Rosie. Anna and I today are going to be talking about overwhelm and stress and shifting perspectives and giving you a really nice tool to enable you to do that for yourself and with clients. And I'll let Anna say hi as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rosie. Yeah, really excited, slightly nervous, but also excited for this because I'm not necessarily a very spontaneous person, and this feels like quite a spontaneous thing to do. So, so lovely to have you all with us and be here with us. I think it would be helpful for us to know, like, which of you are coaches or have had experience of coaching, and which of you are like completely new, never experienced coaching before. So if you could just pop in the chat if you're a coach or a non-coach or a curious coach, I don't know, that would be brilliant, just so that we know who we're talking to. So we've got lots of coaches, coach, quite new.
Training.
Yeah. Okay, great. This is good. Cool.
Great. Lots of coaches.
Yeah,
coaches want to be coach. Yes, Kate, come join the coaching.
I think it's pretty much all coaches, which is good.
Great. Well, we won't have to explain so much, but
No.
I think there were a few non-coaches in there. So please also do feel free to kind of interrupt if we're getting all like coachy language, lingo, stuff that you don't understand, because coaches, when they get together, have a bit of a exciting tendency to get carried away with jargon. Okay, so we are here to talk about overwhelm and stress. And I think probably, as most of you are coaches and you are all humans, you've probably experienced overwhelm and stress, either in yourself or on the receiving end from your clients. And these are kind of places that we go when things are uncertain or things are too much. And we might feel like we're drowning, we might feel like we're struggling. And what often happens is that we, in these spaces, either make very poor decisions or kind of feel completely stuck and make no decisions at all. And it's something that coaching is really powerful at supporting with. And so, yeah, like I've been on the receiving end of some amazing coaching, getting me out of overwhelm and stress. And I'm coaching Anna today on a topic that is kind of overwhelming and a bit stressful.
Yeah.
Do you want to say a bit about coaching and stress?
Yes, yeah. Thanks, Rosie. I think, as some of you have said, like, you're maybe a new coach or coaching training. So I've been coaching now. I did my training 2 years ago, so I've had sort of 2 years of practice. And when I was faced with clients that had overwhelm and stress in those early days, I felt really overwhelmed and stressed and a bit lost and a bit uncertain and unsure about how do I move them through that overwhelm and stress. And my preference with coaching is always to just sort of dance in the moment, and I tend to sort of resist the structures a little bit. what we're going to show you today is a structure. It doesn't feel like a structure as you go through it as the coachee, but it will be a brilliant tool to put into your toolkit that you can use, that takes some. I'm the coachee today, and we've done a little kind of practice session ahead of today, and it didn't feel like coaching was being done to me, and it didn't feel too intense either. So I think there's something about just creating some different perspective, isn't it, Rosie, around that overwhelm and stress, which helps remove those blockages that we can often feel in our mind.
Yeah, 100%. So I'd love to know, before we dive into a bit more detail on the tool, what are your stress and overwhelm triggers? So if you could just drop in the chat, what are the things that you know send you into a bit of a spiral? What are the things that make you feel like you just can't move forward? You might have something that's going on at the moment. It might be something that is a kind of repeating pattern. Okay.
So we've got finance in here, feeling out of control, big changes, overthinking, lack of sleep, multiple competing priorities, being tired, back-to-back meetings, time, saying yes to everything. Oh yes, Dee.
Oh yes.
Lack of clarity, which I think is often why people come to coaching. Time issues, thinking I don't know enough. Yeah. Too many priorities. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, basically.
Packing for holiday, Denise. I love it. That definitely sends me into overwhelm every single time. To be honest, anytime I have to leave my house with my little boy, getting all the right things into the bag can feel quite overwhelming. So, and I guess a bit about overwhelm and stress. Like, they are, like, we often experience these things in our bodies. So we have feelings related to these things. But they are also how our brain chooses to respond to these things. I guess that's the really important thing that we're trying to unlock through this coaching, is to give you a choice in the way that you respond. So when you're in overwhelm or when you're very stressed, it can feel very black and white. And we know that when we get into black and white thinking, there's often a saboteur or an inner critic kind of present, but when you're in it, you don't feel that necessarily. And so what we're attempting to do today is kind of fill in some of the grey and get some of those other perspectives, so you can have a different choice in terms of the way that you respond to what's going on in your body and the external factors and the things that you might be feeling. There were some feelings that came up in the chat, tiredness, guilt, feeling stressed. So they're all feeling things, not feeling present in what I'm doing. And then the overwhelm comes actually from the way that you respond to those things, not from the actual emotion itself. Want to add anything, Anna, before I dive in?
No, I think let's get started.
Let's do it. Otherwise we'll run out of time. Okay.
We're going to share the model. Yeah.
I'm just about to tell you what we're doing. So just bear with me while I work out which bit to share. Okay. Can you see that, guys?
Yeah, we can see that.
Great. Okay, so we're going to be using balance coaching, which comes from CTI. I'm going to be running you through the whole framework. So this is a kind of framework that they teach you over about 3 days. I did my coaching with Coactive, CTI. And they have, the structure is they kind of have 5 weekends. The first is an introduction. The second is fulfillment coaching, which is kind of values land, purpose land, all the dreamy lands. The third module is balance, and that's what I'm going to be taking you through today. And then the fourth is process, and then they have a kind of completion module. So process is all about emotions and how you process them. So I'll take you through the whole thing. You can use any of these parts, any of these bits you can use as standalone within a coaching session. And like, feel free to kind of take it and make it your own, I guess. So there's 3 steps. CTI actually says it's 5, but I've simplified it slightly. Sorry, CTI. So the first bit is about perspectives and choice. So the first thing we're going to do is populate this pink post-it with Anna's topic for today when we get there. And then we're going to generate her current perspective on that topic. And then we're going to find some different perspectives that maybe are more empowering and might give her some options for how she thinks about that topic. And the crucial thing in this step is to make sure that you deepen each of these perspectives enough. If you don't do that, what can happen is that your client can kind of ping pong straight back to the starting perspective. They just, completely bypass the fact that you've done some great work around expanding the perspective and then just go back to where they're stuck, because that's a very familiar place for them. So we'll bring it to life. You can ask questions at the end, but that's the first bit that we're going to do. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of take Anna in a sort of sheep dip back through those perspectives, and she will choose. It's very, choice is a very important part of coaching, obviously. She will choose which is the perspective that will serve her the most. And at this point, clients might come up with a new perspective, actually. They might decide, no, actually none of those work, I'm going to come up with something new, or they might combine perspectives. So there's a lot of flexibility in that, but it gives choice to the client. The next bit we're going to do then, once Anna has chosen her perspective, is we're going to do some idea generation. So at this stage, actually, the coach is kind of allowed to brainstorm with the client. So this is quite a freeing space for lots of new coaches, because they've been told they can't give advice, they can't tell clients what to do, they shouldn't lead the client, but actually here you can generate with the client, and the kind of wilder and wackier the better. It's kind of brainstorming space. And we brainstorm in two ways. We brainstorm the things we might do from that perspective, and we brainstorm the things we might be from that perspective. So doing would be action-based things. Being would be I want to be calmer, or I want to be relaxed. I want to be spacious, I want to be chocolate. All sorts of different things.
I want to be cold. That's what I want to be.
You want to be what?
Cold.
Yeah, I think we all want to be we want to be a fan. So yeah, and anyone watching on replay, this is the 40-degree day of the year. So we're all sweltering in here. So we'll do that, and then the coach can generate 2, and then the client basically can choose which things from that brainstorming feel the most important. So then we'll go through and we'll highlight those. You could do this with a whiteboard. You might choose not to do it with a whiteboard, just pens and paper, and you could keep track, or the client could keep track, and they'll kind of know the things that resonate with them. And then we get to commitment. So we're going to look from the things that Anna decides that she wants to kind of take forward and are important about that topic from that perspective. What does she want to say yes to, and what does she want to say no to, and what then are some actions that she really wants to commit to? And clients can get a bit excited at this point and say that they're saying yes to lots, saying no to lots, and then they generate loads of actions. So also just make sure that you are prioritizing as well the most important actions, and that they're actually achievable actions. So that's the model. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the coaching demo, and then we'll have a decent chunk of time at the end for questions, is what we're aiming for. So feel free to put them in the chat as we go. Zoe's going to keep an eye on it, but also, note them down and save them till the end, because hopefully this will be brought to life a bit through our next conversation. Great. Anything you wanted to add, Anna?
I don't think so. No, not at this stage. I think it comes to life through the conversation, and actually it's very simple, easy tool to use. So I think you can take it and make it your own, like you have today. And yeah, we're good to go.
Great. All right. So let's move into coaching. So anything you need before we dive in, because I'm aware you know, this is a vulnerable space.
I've got 80 people watching me being coached. I don't think so. I know I'm in a safe place, as they say, and the topic we've chosen feels, you know, I feel comfortable to share that. So thank you for asking, but no.
Okay, great. So what is your question for today?
My question is around, we want to do some home improvements, and it's been on the cards for a couple of years, and it feels like we're a bit stuck in terms of, we're at a bit of a crossroads around what to do. That's being influenced by a lot of overthinking, a lot of worry, a lot of things out of our control. We can't really, me and Tim, but me as well, can't really sort of see a way through.
Okay.
So that's not really a question, is it? I suppose my question is, what is my question? I don't actually know what my question, but it's just that big blur around that topic.
The topic is home improvements.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stress and worry, it sounds like, around that.
Yes. Yeah.
And what would you like to be different by the end of the time we've got together today?
So I think at the moment I'm in a place where it's either do or die. It's either do it or don't do it. And both of those options feel very extreme and don't really feel like they're kind of giving me what I need. So I think just to try and generate some ideas that give me a sense of control and that I have agency around it, and that I can get excited by.
Okay. So ideas, agency, and a bit of excitement.
Yeah.
That's where you'd like to be by the end of today.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to populate this for the sake of our viewers, our live studio audience. So home.
I'm just going to fan myself when I go under pressure of coaching live.
So I'm going to put home improvements goes in the middle of our wheel. This is, you know, if you've done the wheel of life, guys, time out, sorry, Anna. If you've done the wheel of life, this will feel a bit like the wheel of life. The wheel of life is effectively a balance wheel. You're populating different perspectives there. So home improvements is the topic, Anna.
Yeah.
And you said that you were in a kind of space of do or don't, this kind of black or white.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about that current perspective.
So it feels quite static. There doesn't feel like there's a lot of movement or progress in that current perspective. It feels like every door you turn to, you know, you feel a bit trapped by it because of this absence of choices. But it also feels a bit safe because it's a bit of an indecisive place and an indecisive perspective. So there's no action happening. So it's a static, safe, trapped space that the walls are literally, it'll be hilarious the amount of house metaphors I probably use as we talk about this, but the walls do literally feel like they're kind of going in a little bit because there are other dependencies. You know, we've got to make decisions about builders and suppliers and tell our children what we're doing and all of that stuff. So it's all starting to feel a bit cramped.
Okay. And what would you like to call this perspective if you were to give it a name?
The first word that pops into my head is like the cabin. This is the cabin perspective, or the cell. I'm going to call it the cell, actually. I know it's a strong word, but that's the kind of claustrophobic feeling that it feels like at the moment.
Okay. Claustrophobic, the walls are closing in.
Yeah.
It's safe and it's static and there's no movement.
Yes, yeah.
So do you feel ready to move on from this perspective?
Yes, 100%.
Great, let's do that. So I'm going to get you to actually physically move, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, you talked about it being static and there being no movement. So I think a literal shift would also be helpful to get into a new perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so chairs back a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what can you see around you?
so I've got all my equipment here, obviously, like right in front of me. And then on the other side of that, I can see my garden, so the paddling pool, the flowers, the trees, the dog, doors are open, that type of thing.
Okay, great. So how about we pick the garden perspective?
Yeah.
And get into that. So tell me about what garden means to you.
The garden means relaxing, it means fun, it means hot. It's, there's colour, there's texture, there is movement. I just saw a little butterfly go past. Yeah, that's kind of what that perspective means to me.
Okay. So movement, butterfly going past, there's a little bit of this. Can you take that movement and make it a bit bigger?
Well, it all does still feel a bit still out there, but I could make it a little bit bigger. Oh, there's 3 butterflies have literally gone past my window. So yeah, so it's starting to multiply a little bit, that movement.
Okay, starting to multiply. What are you aware of as you're doing this?
It feels a bit more fun. It feels a bit less intense. It feels like there is the force of nature a little bit. So, things are just sort of happening anyway, despite any resistance.
Okay, so a bit of a force of nature. So as you connect with this energy and this movement and this fun of the garden perspective, if you look back at home improvements as your topic, what becomes possible?
Well, interestingly, this is not actually something I've ever thought about, but there's something about maximising the outdoor space. So the home improvement project is around knocking down all those walls that feel like they're dropping in. So when I look at it from this movement outside, there's something about maximising what I already have, but in a different way. I think there's something about like going with the flow, like those butterflies, like moving along, like that aren't faced by resistance. So there's something about just kind of letting go a little bit of the outcomes and just moving through the air. Sorry, I don't know what else to say, but that's what I think.
Great, Anna, you're doing brilliantly.
Thank you.
So maximising what you have, going with the flow, letting go, the butterflies floating through the air, you're conjuring up this beautiful imagery for us. Do you want to stick with the label garden? Do you want to call this perspective something else before we
Let's call it butterflies. Let's call this perspective butterflies.
I love it. Okay, but the butterflies perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so we might hang out there, we might do a bit more on that, but we're going to shift on to the next perspective. So tell me your favourite colour, Anna.
I'm going to choose a different colour actually to the one I chose the other day, but today I'm going to choose coral, this coral pink that you can see around me on my prints and on my thing and on my phone and on literally everything I own is that lovely bright coral pink.
Great. So tell me about what coral pink represents to you.
Well, it's bright and it's vibrant. It's part of like how I express myself and my identity. It's something that I'm very drawn to because of its vibrant. It's a very vibrant colour that everything I own, because I buy a lot of coral pink, everything I own goes together because of coral pink. I mean, I'm even coral pink right now because I'm so hot, but literally, so everything is like matchy, like my iPad's orange, but it's kind of coral pink. So yeah, it feels like an alignment colour for me.
Oh, lovely. Alignment.
Yeah.
And you said identity. It's
bright,
yeah.
It's how I express myself with that colour.
Expression, lovely. So if we connect to coral pink as your perspective, if you look at home improvements, what becomes possible from this perspective of coral pink?
Interestingly, I'm thinking the immediate thing is like be bold and courageous. So I hadn't, again, this is sort of, I hadn't maybe recognised the extent to which I'm putting up the barriers and the fear and the walls in the cell. And so the coral pink is about, visualising what it could be, seeing the kitchen, painting the kitchen bold and bright coral. So it's about being courageous and being true to myself.
Lovely. Okay, so we're just going to do one more perspective, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to make a sort of physical shift as well. I forgot to do that last time, but
that's fine.
Don't worry. Anyway,
I'm going to go that way.
Do you have a perspective that you think would kind of serve you in this kind of idea of fun and excitement? Or
I'm thinking a high up perspective.
A high up perspective,
like a bird's eye view. That's what I'm thinking.
So tell me about bird's eye view. What can you see from up here?
Well, it creates some distance. And you're able to see things holistically. You're able to see them in relationship to other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the house look small, and you can see things like on the periphery and on the horizon, and you can see expanse basically in space from that perspective.
Now, would you mind if I just ask you to stand up? I know it feels a bit weird, like on recording and all that jazz, but I feel like it would be helpful for this one to literally stand up and zoom out.
Okay.
So when you're up here, what are you seeing out in front of you?
The tops of the trees, the sky, the tops of the houses.
Okay. And tell me, as you're up here in this bird's eye view, seeing all the tops of everything, if you look at home improvements, what becomes possible?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's go into the perspective a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably haven't deepened enough. So are you like, as in this bird's eye view, where are you? Are you flying? Are you like?
So I'm flying high. I can see my house, but I can see it in relation to where I live. I can see where I live in relation to like the next towns. I can see, the roads and the motorways and the train lines. So it's really high, really broad, really wide.
And what are you noticing as you're up here?
How small things are, how less important they feel, and how freeing it feels to see that much expanse.
Lovely. So what does that tell you about home improvements?
It's a tiny little thing on the blip of my family's like involvement. This is like the smallest thing.
Yeah.
This is just like a thing on that train line. This is just one stop on the train line. That is, because this home improvement is all about our family life and how we live together as a family, and therefore it's not all pinned on this one thing. Like there's other things on that train line. There's my children going to school, my children going to secondary school, holidays, experiences, bike rides, all of that type of stuff. So it reduces the volume of the importance of the home improvement.
Great. Okay. I feel like we've got enough.
Yeah.
So let's just dip you back through. So we started off in the cell, not a nice place, walls closed. Get away from there quickly. Then we went to butterflies. And here we had more flow, more movement, more fun. Then we went to coral pink, which was all about your identity and alignment and expression. And then this kind of beautiful bird's eye view and the train line with one stop in the bigger picture. So which of these perspectives do you feel is going to support you best as we go into generating ideas?
Probably bird's eye view.
Okay.
I think. I mean, I'm naturally drawn to coral pink, but I'm a bit nervous about the brave and courageous. So I'm just. to feel safe, I'm just going to go bird's eye view for today.
Okay, so I'm just going to check in on whether it's actually coral pink that we need, or whether it's bird's eye view, or whether it's bird's eye view with a little bit of coral pink.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd like to blend them a little bit because I like the kind of alignment and courage, but with being able to see it in not making it too big and overwhelming.
Beautiful. So if you could call this perspective something, what would it be?
Like birds of paradise, that's what I'm thinking of, because they're coral pink. I don't know if they are, but like tropical birds, that's what, look at that behind me there, like tropical birds, that's what I'm
Tropical
thinking.
birds?
Yeah.
Tropical, oh, hold on, can't spell. Okay. That's why you should not coach and type at the same time. Okay, tropical birds. I'm very aware of time, so we're going to have a very quick round of brainstorming. So from this perspective, what are you doing and being about home improvements? And I'm just going to count.
In the moment and present.
Okay.
I'm spending time away from home with my children, doing bike rides, cycling. I am pulling together visuals of what could be, like the pink kitchen or whatever. I am picking up the phone and speaking to the builder because I've been avoiding that. I'm doing things around the finances as well, which I've been avoiding. I'm being excited and energized about what could be. I am looking at other alternatives, other ways that I could achieve that outcome that we're looking for our family.
Okay.
So I could go on, but I'm conscious of time.
Great. So yeah, we would get loads and loads. I think that's probably enough. So as you look at these, which are the ones that you would like to commit to doing something about?
Definitely being in the moment. And the builder. And other alternatives to achieve the outcome.
Great. And what support do you think you might need with this?
Definitely need a convo with Tim, my other half, and actually just a whole family chat about it. I need to talk about it more because I think I've been hiding away from it a little bit. I need some help. I need someone to just like help me break it down into milestones. So whether or not that's the builder or a friend that maybe has been through this type of project.
Okay. And any of those you want to commit to taking forward?
Family chat, talking more. Yeah, family chat and talking more about it.
Right. Okay, so I've just coloured those in purple so you can come back to them. So now we're going into commitment. So can you tell me, if you do these purple things, let's go back, builder, in the moment, conversation with Tim and the kids, talking more, what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to?
If I do those things, I'm saying yes to I'm saying yes to, like, it's okay to improve and be better and do things, invest in us. That's what I'm saying yes to, investing in our family. I'm saying no to being fearful of change, which I think is ultimately what's driving this stuckness. Basically telling that to, do one. I'm saying yes to agency, to use that word again, that choice and options, not having to have one or the other. I'm saying yes to being present and not having to do everything straight away immediately. It's like that one stop on that train line.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to say these loud and say these proud. So what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to?
Well, I can't see it. Hang on. Let me just hit that bit. Can you, I'm saying yes to being, to being able to improve and that being okay, like being worthy of that improvement. I'm saying yes to investing in my family. I'm saying yes to having agency and choice and freedom and options. I'm saying yes to not having, you know, links to that one, but not, you know, it's basically no to black and white thinking, and saying yes to being present. And I'm just saying to like one little train stop at a time, just, you know, one step at a time. I'm saying no to fear of change. And yeah, you've captured that there. No to black and white thinking.
Okay, so what would you like to commit to do next from all of this?
So I think I want to do that milestone plan, because I think that's the little train line thing. And I want to have a cooler family meeting this weekend. And I want to do something fun as well. I don't know, like we talked about this in our practice, but I want to go out and buy something coral or mustard yellow for my house, or a print or something, to show me that I'm making those incremental steps.
Great. All right. Okay, I think we're going to stop there. Thank you very much. You were a wonderful client.
Thank you, Coach.
And I will stop the share. Phew.
Thank you both.
Well done, Rosie. I think, Rosie, you require all the appreciation there. While Rosie catches a breath, thank you for all your lovely comments coming in. Any questions for Rosie as the coach or me as the coachee in terms of, you know, our experience using that tool, or anything you've noticed or observed? Feel free to come off mute or pop it in the chat.
So whilst people gather their thoughts, so I would be interested from a client perspective, Anna. Obviously you're a coach, so you kind of know the somatic kind of sensing anyway, but what was it like for you getting into those different states, you know, getting into your body and then using that as a perspective? Can you share with us a little bit of what was for you?
I think the first and second perspective felt the most limiting. So that second perspective, where it was like, what can you see in front of me? It didn't feel like I'd really started to kind of open up my mind yet. And the coral perspective was the one where I was like, right, I'm really cooking on gas now, because I can start to feel energized and excited. And it was interesting, the bird's eye perspective, because I couldn't connect to it. And it sort of reinforced what Rosie was saying about really making sure that perspective is deep enough. And I know when I've coached using a tool like this, there is a temptation to move the client on quickly. You're like, oh, brilliant, I've got that perspective, great. But you can fall into that trap of them going back to the cell or whatever their current perspective is. So I think it worked for me because I'm quite a creative person. And I like using metaphor and visualizing things. So it felt quite accessible for me.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. And that probably picks up a couple of the questions that we've had in the chat around how did it feel to be placed in the other perspectives, and and what if the client got stuck? So making sure it goes deeper. What about Rosie's question, who asks, maybe for you, Rosie, how would this work with a client who's never seen this model?
Yeah, I mean, this is like my favorite tool. I use bits of it all over the place. So, you know, you can end the session with saying yes and no to, you don't have to do all the perspective generation before you get to the other bits, I guess I would say. But yeah, of course, the client won't have seen this tool, and they might not know where you're going. I think it depends on what your relationship is with the client as to how much you kind of like show them behind the scenes, I guess. So I have some clients who want to know what's going on, and they want a bit of like, yeah, they want to see what's in the stage wings. So I will tell them, you know, I will talk them through the tool and tell them where we're going. I have other clients who, you know, they're happy to play and just go with it. So I think it depends on your client relationship and what you know about your client. You know, some people will struggle with embodiment, and so you might need to spend a bit longer there. Anna obviously is a coach, she's a trained coach, and she's great with her body, great with metaphor. But, you know, this was a very compressed time scale. So I think spending longer on it, you know, you might spend the whole time just generating perspectives. And then the next time might be about getting to action, or like, so don't feel like you have to squeeze people through it. and go with what people are comfortable with, I guess, like find metaphors that work for them. I think, as Anna was saying, the first step is normally quite a small shift away from saboteur, and just know that, so be comfortable with that, and they might keep slipping back, and that's okay. So I guess kind of dancing in the moment, allowing things to unfold, and not being scared for a client to push back and say no. Like, I gave somebody a bumblebee perspective once, like gave it to them because they were struggling with coming up with perspectives, and they were just like, absolutely not, I'm not doing that. And then they came up with Monopoly. So like, what are the things from their life that work for them?
When we did the practice last week, the final perspective that I chose was Tim, my other half's perspective, and Rosie was brilliant at challenging me on that as the coachee, to say, you know, is that really, these weren't her words, but, you know, is that really going to be the most resourceful perspective for you to do, to step into your partner's shoes and imagine how he would see things and potentially how he would see you. So I think we talked about like the cut, you know, your favorite color. We talked about babbling brook perspective. So yeah, playing with it, you know, picking objects up around the office and using those. You know, I with clients, I've used different chairs and positions. If you're with them physically, that can also help.
Yeah, and I'd also say, like, you know, if you've done things like in a leader work, that can be a perspective. Values work, those can be perspectives. So everything that you've already used can feed into this. So it's kind of not super new and unfamiliar. And then there might be clients who really want to play and get like elf perspectives and some crazy things. And surroundings, as I did with Anna, is often a good thing, because they'll normally know, and they'll pick something that's kind of resonant for them, I guess. There's a question about choosing the perspectives. They can come from either place, I guess, and I would say either can work. So you might ask, you know, is there a perspective that you feel would open this up for you? And they might come up with something, or they might not, and that's okay.
Fabulous. That probably covers most of the questions that are there. There's a lot around what if the clients struggle to find the perspective. And I think what I'm hearing is it's be playful, use what you've got, you know, be patient with the client, give them time and space to access it, deepen those perspectives. Yeah, and I think with this sort of work, when you experience it, like when you watch it, you can often think, oh gosh, like I don't think I could do that. But when you experience it, it's actually very different, isn't it? Because you find yourself, you know, to access different ways of thinking than to what you are familiar with. So that was a real treat, ladies. Thank you so much for bringing that to us today. Anything you would like to say just to close on this afternoon?
You go first, Anna.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much to Rosie, because I've had the joy of being able to work with you on this, and appreciate you kind of coaching me through that real life situation. So yeah, that's really it for me. If you want to connect with me or find out a bit more about what I do, you can find me at www.stepsandstrides.com, and I do one-to-one and group coaching, so you can find out all the details on there, also on LinkedIn and Instagram. And Rosie, for you?
Yeah, just like thanks for being with me in my first ever live coaching demo full stop, outside of training, and yeah, that was really fun, and I think I want to do more of them. So, and if you want to get your hands on the framework that I used, I'm very happy to share the mural template. I'll publish it as a template. Drop me an email at rosie@podcoaching.co.uk, and I'm also putting the link to my mailing list in the thing, so anyone who signs up in the next couple of days, I'll send it to you that way as well.
Fabulous. Well, listen, thank you all so much for coming along. Brilliant turnout today. Do you know, I should have this prepared. Who's up next? Anna, you might be quicker to access this than me. Up next is Emma Cossey. No, it's all right, I've got it. Emma Cossey, Coaching When You're Neurodivergent, which is going to be a fabulous session. Emma's going to share some of her own perspectives of having been coached as neurodivergent, coaching as neurodivergent, and tools and tips for running your business with somebody who is also neurodivergent. So that's going to be great insight. So do join us for that. Yeah, thank you all for being here, and see you all again very soon. Take care, everybody.